more Old Man Opinions with Jordan. Let's see who I can piss off today. I don't know. I feel like people should be happy about this, right? Like I mentioned Demon Slayer the other day. Mainly I was complaining about Invincible in order to...
Oh god, people like crucified you for what you said about Invincible.
People, you know what, to people's credit, like anytime I criticize something or kind of crap on it, I'm always impressed when people stand up for it. I'm never mad about that.
I'm always impressed when people like things that are shitty. That's what
it's just like, you know, just because I don't expect everyone to agree with me. So when people come up with especially when they make good points, and some people did make good points defending Invincible, I'm always like, good for you guys. You should defend it if that's your show, if that's how you rock. But I spent a lot of time praising Demon Slayer, and I think a couple of people were down in the comments going like, if you like Demon Slayer for those reasons, you'd be a big fan of My Hero Academia. Now, My Hero Academia is like, I don't know, one of the top, if not the sort of top current anime. So I've heard of it before. And my girlfriend was trying to get me to watch it forever. But eventually I was like, okay, bet. Like, let's watch My Hero Academia. Holy fucking shit. I think I love it even more than Demon Slayer. It's so fucking good.
I have slightly related, I guess, to plug a friend of mine's products, I guess. But, my friend, my high school roommate in college, she was my roommate like through all 4 years of college. When we graduated, left, and went our separate ways, I became obsessed with Dragon Age, and she became obsessed with My Hero Academia, whatever it is. We'll talk sometimes, and it's just like they're completely opposite worlds, I feel like. But she has started write, or well, she a long time ago she started writing like a fan fiction for it. I have known nothing about the anime. I try to read the fanfic, but since I haven't seen it, I was so lost. I said, "Chris, I'm so sorry. I have to tap out of this." But it's like
there's a lot of characters.
It's like the I Am series. Apparently, it's big. I don't know, but she actually ended up co-writing it with like another person she met online, and they started dating, and now they live together. So
oh wow,
yeah, and they actually just bought a house together. So congrats to my pal, and My Hero Academia brought two lovely ladies together. So that's a fun story.
What that brings a whole new meaning to Go Beyond Plus Ultra. Holy shit. Good for them. It's a great show, and honestly, like the fandom is so like it's got one of the most passionate fandoms ever. Like anime fan bases are crazy, but like holy shit, the My Hero Academia people are crazy. And I guess I'm one of them now.
Yeah, knowing my friend, that makes it. Which if for some reason this ever gets back to her, I say this with love because Lord knows I'm doing the same fucking thing, but with Dragon Age.
Anyway, people, if you want an anime, I mean, I think every anime fan. I think I'm the last person to watch this show. Everybody else knows about it, but if it's been on your list, what are you doing? Go watch it.
Yeah. Anyway, can we tie this in? Was there a My Hero Academia game that came out in E3? I'm just reaching for anything here that would make it.
I'm literally trying to think about like what happened in Square Enix. Don't they have a bunch of anime shit? Anime like shit.
Oh, fucking no. Yeah. So anime shit. Yeah, E3 happened, and we kind of went. Okay, so on today's menu, on Split the Veil today, we have a wonderful. It's a little bit past date E3 news, and we also have BioWare GM. We got a new one of those. We're gonna talk about that last one. That's more serious.
Yeah. E3, just like anime, sometimes has a lot of filler episodes.
Okay, here we go.
And I feel like E3 was mostly filler episodes. I gotta be honest.
Yeah, before we go on like a rant about E3 and how it like wasn't great, I at least want to put it out there. Like, yes, I know it was really hard for game development companies because of COVID and stuff like that. And I understand that like. Had COVID not happened, we probably would have had something cool happen and blah, blah, blah. That being said, like, even, like, in light of that, the show part of it still sucked. Like, it wasn't a good show.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think that's a great place to start, actually. I mean, I haven't been too much plugged into that narrative, but it sounds like there were a lot of people kind of coming to bat to say, don't complain about E3's lack of substance because it puts too much pressure on game developers. Was that kind of one of the narratives?
Sort of, and then also like, literally the entire world kind of took I don't want to say a pause, because not everyone paused. There were a lot of people that still worked, but like things slowed down, and we're really just starting to feel the effects of this. Like the price of lumber, holy shit, lumber like skyrocketed for no fucking reason. But well, I mean, like
there's reasons,
yeah, there's reasons, but I mean, like it's just. Here we go. Like the economy is still reeling from COVID, and this is just one of those areas.
Sure. We're having a console shortage because we're having a transistor shortage.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of the supply chain problem that the world honestly didn't, especially in the United States and Western countries, like, oh, we have a supply line problem, and we didn't know we had one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think just maybe for some reason people just think that games just appear and don't realize like there's a if you want to call it a supply chain problem, sure, but like there is a problem with the making of it because of COVID. So I at least want to like be aware that like, yeah, and that's really like my complaints with E3 doesn't really surround the fact that nothing was announced. I think my problems with it was one, so many announcers are just so cringy that I just have to watch it on mute nowadays because I just like the cringe. And then two, like a lot of the trailers just aren't good. And like they're I was actually watching I was watching I don't know, I forgot. I think was it Nintendo? It was like that Shin Megami Tensei. It's one of the Persona series games that got announced. Was it Nintendo? I don't know. But as I was watching it, they were like giving like a demo on the game or whatever, and like how to play it. And like Michael walked in, and he was just saying like, "Who is this for?" Because like the way they were describing the game, it was like how you would describe a game for someone who's never played a game before, and like that's no one that's watching E3 is going to need that level of.
You're right.
So and like there was a lot of that throughout the entire like showing. So it just it feels weirdly corporate, but at the same time trying not to be, and it just isn't fun. It's very taxing.
Do you think they should bring back the booth babes? Will that make it more fun?
No, because naked women, even if it's dudes that were like really, like 100 Jason Momoas, just like,
No matter how many Momoas you throw at those fucking, that Square Enix conference is going to suck.
Now mimosas. No, I'm kidding. But it's not really so much booth babes. I just think that I don't even know what. Like, it is kind of fun to have, like, a season like, oh, all the trailers are here. Isn't this kind of neat? But I think that in the age of the internet, like, the way that I think E3 is being presented at this showing that just happened, it really felt like how E3 should have been shown, like, 10 years ago, where, like, gaming journalists were new, and not all of them actually knew gaming. They're like, okay, what is this? How do I need to report on this? And that kind of thing. But, like, that's not needed anymore.
Right.
So, it just, I don't know. Everything just kind of felt weird and awkward and cringy. And, like, yeah, there weren't that many things announced. But, like, and, like, I understand from the gaming company, they didn't really have anything to announce. But, like, couldn't you at least do something where, like, the Dragon Age behind the scenes were like, okay, we're not really ready to announce that, the new Dragon Age game or a title or release date or anything, but like we are working on it. Like, couldn't companies do something like that and like just have like powerful montages of people animating and like cool things that the fans can obsess over? Like, I think that should have been like the majority of E3, just like, yeah. We are thinking about working on this thing and like get people hyped, and like that probably should have been what it was, but instead we got cringe and a whole lot of nothing except for the indies who turned up and really slam dunked this one, I think. Anyway, that was my rant on E3.
I agree with your rant. I think you're spot on with the rant. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's corporate, but it's not trying to be.
Yeah.
Especially like when Michael has that comment about like, who is this supposed to be because of the nature of the walkthrough. Like, to me, and I don't know, because I'm not there and I don't work in the video game industry, but if I had to guess, I'm like, it reeks of like a process management person, or like a person in a company who's constantly like in the meeting saying like, we have to explain this to someone like they've never played it. There's always like, because that's very prevalent nowadays in large companies, right? Like there's people who specialize in saying, make it understandable to someone who has no idea what it is. But E3 is a specialized audience. Like it's people who line up to watch the commercials.
Yeah.
And I guess this is kind of my rant on E3, which is that E3 is kind of bullshit. And I don't want to be like a negative, like old man grumpy about it. Like being excited about games getting ready to come out is not bullshit. Mm-hmm. But the structure and because of the history of E3, it is kind of ridiculous if you don't watch it cynically. Like I think there's a borderline to it. I don't want to seem like I'm just like fucking king of the salt mine every time somebody's trying to show like, you know, because the developers work hard, right? And the developers are the ones who get pushed out there to show what they worked on. And I don't want to shit on people's work.
Yeah.
But I'm not shitting on their work because this isn't their work. Mm-hmm. The people who are the people whose work we're seeing is the PR and marketing people. It's their work. I'm shitting on their work, to be quite honest. And quite honestly, they should be better at it because it's shit. I mean, you talk about the host, you talk about the way it's written, you talk about this cringy, like, did these people think that they're writing like the Teen Choice Awards, like the MTV, like or Nickelodeon or whoever the fuck does it? Like, who the hell do they think they're marketing to? Mm-hmm. Like, it's so awful at this point, and I'm just like, I don't want to be cynical about people who are working hard to make video games because it's a medium and an art form that I love, and I want to be excited about games that are coming out. Mm-hmm. But I think at this point, the right posture to take against an advertising bonanza is to be cynical. Mm-hmm. Like, I think they're advertising cynically. I think all advertising is cynical. And what I mean by cynical is like, the advertisers don't care, right? Like, and from a certain perspective also, like, one question that I've often found myself asking is, does an objectively bad product have the right to obtain good advertising and marketing? And I think the answer is yes, but that's also kind of dishonest inherently. But it's like, if you're a company and you know your product is shit, but you have enough money to go hire a kick-ass marketing company to make the commercials and sell it, does that really count as dishonest? Is that really... You can't false advertise. You can't say this is blue when it's really red. Yeah. But can you portray it in the best light possible? And sometimes I think like, yeah, that's kind of a weird conundrum, but yes, the advertising should get to be as good as they can possibly make it without being an outright lie. Mm-hmm. But then in order for that to not be complete bullshit, consumers have to raise their level of skepticism all the time, which is counterintuitive to the idea of hype. Mm-hmm. And so E3 is like, well, yes, you want to be excited because of where the art form of video games are going, but it's a fool's errand to just let yourself get hype. You kind of have to bring your cynicism big time and look for the flaws and point out where they're not showing everything they should be and point out where they're trying to make it seem better than it is. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, it's just too naive to just assume that E3 is a celebration of video games. It's just not. It's a series of long commercials. It's like the Super Bowl commercials with no Super Bowl.
Actually, yeah. Oh, God.
So that's my rant on E3.
No, you're completely right. Yeah, and I think like at least in past years, you kind of get blinded by the hype. I guess that's not the best way to put it, but like, there's usually like a game or two that you get really excited about. So like you kind of forget that like you just watched like 4 hours of commercials. But like this year, there just wasn't that, at least for me, maybe for other people. Like maybe you're really into like the Battlefield commercial was pretty funny, I thought. Did you watch
the tornado?
That well, the tornado, but like also the homage to like that really great Battlefield play where the guy jumps out of a plane, rocket launches another plane to death and then hops back into the plane.
Oh, that's right. That was so ridiculous.
Yeah. And I love that they actually animated that and put that in the trailer. That's great. More of that. But yeah, like there was like some things I thought were fun, but overall, I don't know, it just really dragged on this year. So at least for me, the two shows that I think really did well. I think Xbox show did okay. I say that though, I can't remember a goddamn thing that was announced for it. So I just remember
Starfield.
going. Oh yeah, I guess there's
Starfield,
that.
Halo. They have a new Forza. They have they're bringing out their big hit. Stalker 2 was another one that draw a lot of eyes.
That I know those a lot of people are very excited for those. Those are not things I'm excited for, though, I will say.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Starfield. I'm sure it's going to be cool, but so far the last 3 games that came out of Bethesda makes me sick. So why am I going to think Starfield's going to be any different? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I'm not even going to think about Starfield. I'm not going to be hyped for Starfield because I'm just going to assume I'm going to throw up, you know?
Oh, man. They really should think about that. I wonder if they're aware that this happens to people and they're doing something.
Maybe I'm the only one. Because, there's other games that, Curse the Obra Dinn. I played that with Michael. And I love that game, number one, but I got so sick. So sick. And, I had to... Because I really wanted to play it, so I actually had to, sit on the other side of the room and then, not watch the TV. And, I was just, we had a puzzle we were doing and just do the puzzle. And, I had to not watch the TV, otherwise I'm going to throw up. And Michael just had to describe to me what was going on. It was so bad.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about those types of games. And it's not all first-person games. For at least some of the Anthem portions, I was okay. I don't know. My body's broken. I don't know what to say. Anyway, but other shows. I don't know if you watched the Wholesome Direct. Did you watch that?
I don't think I did. No.
It was one of the small. It was essentially just an indie direct that had a lot of cutesy puzzle games. And that's kind of my jam. I like cutesy puzzle games. So I think there was 3 or 4 games out of that. I'm like, oh fuck yeah. I'm into this one. So the Wholesome Direct I quite liked. And there's a couple of I actually downloaded some demos from that and started playing them. And then the Nintendo Direct I think did well. However, I cannot express my sorrow that there was no Animal Crossing DLC announcement. I know we should all be hyped for, Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever, but when he said oh, we have one more game to show, and I'm sitting there on pins and needles waiting for that Animal Crossing, and then hoping it's there because I wanted this DLC. It's supposed to be the next big one, and we're all fucking excited for it. And then Zelda starts coming up, it could have been it's here, it dropped. It could have been the best Zelda news in the world, and I just felt nothing but sorrow.
Oh, no. And there was no mention of Animal Crossing, right?
None at all. They just said, fuck you. Yeah, apparently, the Nintendo of America guy came out, says we didn't abandon Animal Crossing. We still have plans. And, there's other, thing. It's gonna come out. Why would you not even, this is the top-selling game on the Switch, and you don't even go... New update coming soon. That's all I needed. New update coming. You didn't have to show shit. Just a little Animal Crossing thing says new update, summer to fall. It gave me a time and that's all I fucking needed. And nothing. We got nothing. And the sorry. People are going to say oh, we got no Dragon Age. Well, at least there's EA Play coming up. No Animal Crossing is what I was gutted about. That's what I was losing sleep over. Not really. But that's what I was really upset about.
I mean, if that's it, so is Animal Crossing still a daily driver, if you will, to borrow a common parlance for cars? Is that still a regular game that you're on actively?
It honestly every morning, because my daughter likes to watch it for some reason. She'll just sit there downing a bottle and just sit in my arms and clap and coo and really likes watching the colors. I guess I don't know. So about an hour a day, I'll go on there and piddle around and we'll just have a good time and
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's really nice, and I'll sing her little Animal Crossing town tunes and stuff, and she'll just coo back. So, yeah, I've been doing it daily. Honestly, probably the only days I have missed is when I gave birth and around the holidays because my folks came up to visit, and that yeah, I know.
Somebody
over a year.
Somebody tell fucking President Bowser or whatever his name is to hurry up and get on this so Baby Gil can have some more Animal Crossing to watch.
Exactly. Baby Gil needs her Animal Crossing fix. We're starting this video game indoctrination early,
I love it. I think it's great. I think that's actually phenomenal. I think that's kind of always what Animal Crossing should have been in a way, is that sort of daily game you can keep coming back to. So it's good to know that. And you're not the only one. Obviously, millions of people feel this way.
Yeah. And there's also people that in the Animal Crossing community. There's also like time travelers or whatever that like kind of speed run the game and do that. I'm not one of those because I think the game lasts longer and feels fresher when you don't time travel. And there's a lot of those people that haven't really touched the game because they did time travel and collect all the things, and they essentially completed it that want the DLC because they want to play again, but there's nothing for them to do.
Right.
And I feel for those people because like they like, give me a couple more months and I'll probably be there naturally. You know what I mean?
And the thing about Animal Crossing too is you can't have 2 islands, right? It's a per console thing.
It's a per console.
Cassie, you can't even start over without washing all that shit down the drain. That would be traumatic.
Yeah. And here's the thing: people are actually buying other Switches. People are doing it. People are like, "Well, here's my Switch Lite. Here's my Switches." That Animal Crossing has probably like sold more units of like the Switch than any other game.
Isn't that incredible? Can we just take a minute to acknowledge that it's 2021 and it was like, I don't fucking know, 2002 when people said Nintendo was going to die because people didn't want GameCubes and the graphics weren't as good as whatever. And like these motherfuckers, and if please somebody translate motherfucker politely into Japanese, but like I mean that with all due respect. I mean that with the greatest reverence. Like, these motherfuckers are running this shit. They don't 4K bullshit, high resolution. They don't care. They run the video game industry to this day. The best-selling console ever is the fucking Switch after they broke their own record with the Wii.
I didn't even know it broke the Wii.
Yes. The best, well, I think it's like per year or whatever, maybe not cumulative, but in the same time frame, it's the fastest selling console ever.
Yeah.
And like, they're just like, fuck you, man, more Mario, more Zelda, more, like they just come back with the same things over and over again. But like, to your point, they're exclusives and they're console movers, and they run their consoles at a profit, at a net margin that's better than what Sony and Microsoft do. So good for them. I mean, they're just geniuses, honestly.
Yeah.
And they brought, I mean, look, Animal Crossing, I know would have been great to see, but like they showed Zelda and they showed Metroid, right? And if you're Nintendo, like that's what you need to do to win, and I feel like they won. Yeah,
they probably had the best like major developer producer, I don't even know what you call them, showing of E3.
I think it's close. I mean, just to talk about Metroid for a second, like I love the fact that they showed it, but I loved how they showed it. I think that might have been one of the only like lengthy gameplay demos that we saw, and the way that they demoed it, I don't know who those people were even, because I was trying to watch the showcase, but I couldn't watch all of it. It was during the middle of the day. And so like the people who were streaming it, I thought were fantastic. I felt like I was watching really chill streamers who weren't trying to make cringe jokes or like be super salesperson-y. They were literally just playing the game. And I was like, oh, this is fantastic. They're literally just playing the game and it looks great.
Yeah. Which, like, I guess a side note, like, Jeff Knightley, whatever his last name is, like, I don't, like, love the guy. He's just kind of there. But, like, watching some of the other presenters made me really appreciate him. Because, like, I don't cringe at Jeff.
Yes.
Jeff is just kind of there. He's mild. He's like, hey, we're just going to hear. We're going to have video games. And, like, maybe he has, like, a dad joke or two. It's unoffensive to me. But then, like, I think it was the IGN show where,
they're
like...
awful. They're so bad.
Oh, my God. It's like, I had to mute whenever the presenters were on there because, like, I was just... The cringe. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
It's terrible.
Like, the PC gaming show, they're like, I don't think they were as bad as the IGN, but it was up there. It wasn't great.
Yep.
And it's just so, I don't know. I guess I just got an appreciation for Jeff when I was thinking and watching these other shows. Like, you know what? I'm not like having a great time. I don't think he's amazing. But like, no offense. However, he does it well enough that I'm not muting him. You know what I mean? And like, that should be something, you know?
So yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. I completely agree with you. Like, Jeff Keighley is just sort of like, he's serviceable. Like, that's really at the end of the day what it is. He's serviceable. He gets the job done, and he's non-offensive. The rest of the personalities that they're trying to throw out there, It's so bad. Like, it's so freaking awful. Like, here's what I want people to do in order to illustrate how bad it is. I said this probably more than a decade ago to some of my friends, where I said there was a point where nerds and nerd culture were, like, castigated. Like, it wasn't cool to do that. And it's probably goes back at least to 07, 08, 09, like, at least around there. Mm-hmm. It really started to turn, and, like, that sort of became more in. And for a long time since then, like, it's devolved into the lowest common denominator version of quote unquote nerd culture. Mm-hmm. So here's what I want people to do. I want people to go watch a 1983 movie called Valley Girl. Are you familiar with Valley Girl?
No idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Valley Girl is a classic, man. I fucking love Valley Girl, honestly. It's directed by Martha Coolidge. It's Nick Cage, like young Nick Cage.
Oh, well, now I have to watch it.
It's fantastic. It's a blast, man. And it's 1983, and it's like teenagers in the 80s, right? And it's just like, you know, they're saying tubular and like fucking, it's cringe inducing. Don't get me wrong. Like, the heart of the movie is actually kind of nice and timeless in a way, but the aesthetic of it is so fucking bad by today's standards, right? Like, it's not even necessarily like 80s homage retro cool. Like, it's just cringe because it was the peak of what would have been considered through the eyes of studio executives youth culture in the 80s. I always use that movie as an example to people of, like, whatever you fucking think is super fucking cool and like the kids are going to be into it now, 20 years after the fact, it's going to look like fucking Valley Girl. Like, just remember that. Like, whatever you think is trendy and hip and like the kids are going to like it, it never fucking ages well. It just doesn't. And like that and Scott Pilgrim is my other example. Like, Scott Pilgrim has fucking aged awfully. That movie is dog shit. Like, if you try and watch that movie now, it's so bad.
I have not even thought about that in probably 10 years.
Like, everybody with their fucking, like, canvas shoes and think geek fashion bullshit. Like, like fucking, like, trendy t-shirts and shit. I'm like, shut the fuck up. This is so bad. Why did we think this was cool?
God, you just called out the, like, 2010 and just...
Look, I was there. I was in the trendy t-shirts. I'm not innocent.
No, I remember my mom for Christmas, I think it might have even been 2010, she got me, like, a blind box of, like, Think Geek t-shirts. And, like, I still have some of them, and it's like Darth Vader going, like, come to the dark side, we have cookies and some bullshit. Like
everything, 100%. It's a fucking Charmander and Commander Shepard's armor shit. Like, I have all of it. It's all dog shit. It's not cool anymore. I don't know if it ever was, but it's like, this is what I want the E3 people to realize. It's just like, this is just awful. I mean, here's a possibility. Let's take a time out and a pause. Maybe we're old and like 15-year-old kids thought it was awesome. I don't know. Maybe that's possible.
Yeah, okay, number one, if you're a 15-year-old kid, don't watch our show. Two,
that's true.
If you're a 15-year-old kid watching our show, tell us what you thought about it.
And then turn it off.
We're too old for you. Get someone your own age. I can't imagine, though, that they thought it was cool, because it's anything an adult does is just not cool.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I just like I said, I have this overall question of like, who is this for? Because it just seems so. It seems like they're still trying to fulfill the marketing motifs of 10 years ago, and it's like they haven't refreshed. They don't know. They don't know what the aesthetic is now.
I agree completely. Yeah, and like what I also thought was absolutely wild. So I'm only like vaguely aware of the differences between Summer Game Show and E3 because they're different, I guess. Mm-hmm. But at least the Summer Game Show, when you went on there, it was like, okay, here are our shows, here are the times, here's a couple different time zones, here's where you watch it, the end. I go to E3 and E3's like, hey, we're having a show. Oh, great. When are they? IGN will tell you. Oh, thanks. Where do I watch it? Oh, you could Google it. Oh, thanks. And, like, on E3's official Twitch, it didn't even have, like, the day's events. It was just like, it's going to be here. When it be's here. We're E3. You fucking know what's up. No, I don't, E3. I'm not omnipotent.
It's so decentralized now, where it used to be, you know, I mean, whatever. Like, back when G4 was there, you could expect all of it to be on TV or whatever. Or even when it was streaming, like, there used to be a more centralized approach. But now, I mean, Sony doesn't even come to E3. They didn't even come to E3 and whatever it was in 2019. So it's like, and Nintendo they're not physically there. They're doing a direct during the week of E3. So it feels really disconnected. And I don't know. I guess I feel conflicted about it because it is just a bunch of commercials. But at the same time, like I said, I can't be totally 100% negative about it because there used to be something special about that lineup of commercials when it was more of a centralized thing. It's a contradiction, I know, but still, there was something about it.
Yeah, there is. And is that just nostalgia? We just have nostalgia of coming home from school and like trying to find all the E3 news and looking at our Game Informers and Nintendo Powers and seeing what was announced and being excited about it. Is that really just what we're holding on to here?
God, that's a good question. Yes, partially. Like you're right on an individual level, but the basis for that was substantial. And here's what I think it is. I think it has to do with the history of E3. E3 started in a tent outside of CES, right? The Consumer Electronics Show. And the tent was relegated, right? Like the tent was like porn websites and video games. You know what I mean? Like it was like the smut and the stuff for. That's so weird. It was like the smut and the stuff for kids. It's a weird thing to put in the same tent.
Was it really smut? Did they really have porn at E3 at one point?
At CES, I thought that they had things related to porn. Yeah.
Oh wow.
You know,
there's a startup called Pornhub. Maybe you'll take off one day.
it's yeah, seriously, it's a fucking Dreamcast next to the first internet vibrator. They both have online. You can stick in your Ethernet cord to it.
Jesus, that's not where I thought you were going to step into, I'll be honest. Oh my God, that's a weird place to stick a Dreamcast, but okay.
Okay. So that's where E3 started, right? It started in a tent outside of CES. And I feel like, and maybe I'm not remembering it historically accurately. I'm sure, you know, some of the industry journalists who've been around for 20 years can tell me if this is right. But I feel like, at least in memory, that the tent that had the original version of what became E3 was always the scrappy underdog compared to the main show of CES. And that E3 was kind of birthed out of this sense of, let's show the absolute best of what's coming next in video games in order to prove to people that we should be taken seriously. And that worked. And then also, you know, burgeoning gaming press, it was enthusiast magazines. Like it wasn't quote unquote real journalists. It was just gamers writing magazines. But then that became sort of lucrative. And so then an official gaming press came in. They descended on E3 because it was initially about showing the absolute best that was coming in gaming so gaming could be taken seriously. But then there were too many eyeballs on it and the stakes got too high and the marketing people came in and they're like, whoa, well, we can't show everything this early.
Yeah.
It became corporatized because people actually started paying attention to it.
Yeah, it if this were a band, it kind of sold out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good comparison. It was important at one point to say this is the best in gaming. This elevates the view of our industry. But now, I mean, the gaming industry makes more money than the film industry. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to do that anymore. So now it's more about, you know, a consolidated release window and a marketing strategy, and also like gamers feel like they got burned and did get burned on some bait and switches on like trailers that were CGI or a gameplay demo that was like just a vertical slice. And so now it's like a double-edged sword. Gamers did the side-by-side comparisons on YouTube, and now gaming companies are kind of scared. They're afraid to show something that's too good now.
It's true, yeah. Even within Dragon Age, like they did I think it was actually at E3, maybe it was at another expo, I don't know. But they had a showing of early Inquisition demo, and it's completely different to what we actually I don't think we had anything in that demo that's even remarkably similar to what we got now. And like people when it came out were like, "What happened to all these things that came out?" And like so, yeah, it like even within our own little tiny community, like that has happened. So,
and it makes sense too. Like I don't want to say like, oh, gamers did this to ourselves, but like. If you're gonna have the Croby Cat video, do you know who Croby? I think I'm pronouncing that right. Croby Cat.
I know of it. I don't watch it though.
I think it's one guy. I think he popularized the, you know, Ubisoft did this at E3, and then this is what the actual game looks like side by side.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a bunch of people who do it, but that's the ones that I always see.
Uh-huh.
Like, if that becomes a viral success every time a YouTuber does it, I don't think people can then turn around and say, how come they're not doing more gameplay demos? Like, if the game's not coming out for a year, how can you ask for a gameplay demo and then you're going to do these frame-by-frame comparisons, and if 2 pixels are off from the gameplay demo, we say it's a bait and switch and we get mad? Well, the game companies are just going to say, well, then we're not going to show anything until the game's 3 months away.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. To which we then get stuck in this situation with E3 where they're not ready to show anything that's final yet. So, yeah, it is, It's
a weird catch-22, right?
Yeah. Maybe they just should have canceled it, like, shrug, like, sorry, guys, we got fuck all. See you next year.
I mean, I think people were saying, right, about Bethesda Xbox, because it was Bethesda Xbox, it was one show, not, Bethesda used to have their own show as a publisher, but now that they're owned by Microsoft, it's one. I think Bethesda might have their own show again in the future, but I think Pete Hines from Bethesda even came out and said, look, if we thought we had an hour worth of stuff to show people, we would have, and we kind of didn't, which is why we just combined it with Xbox, which says a lot. That they didn't feel like they had an hour worth of stuff that was just Bethesda, when in the past years they had. I think, like if games take a long time to make in Frostbite, which we kind of know now based on BioWare and what's been reported on it, and games generally are taking longer to make and they're all going to have 5-year release cycles, this is going to be a problem going forward. It's like games take longer to make and game companies are more gun shy to show them, a year or 18 months or 2 years out. Well, then we're not going to have as many gameplay demos at E3. And that's just how it's going to go. Unless the indies come in. And, I don't even know what's considered an indie anymore or not, but like Somerville, Relapse, like there were a couple of games that were, I guess they sort of looked kind of indie-ish to me. I was excited to see those, but generally people don't get as hyped for those. They want the AAA stuff.
It's true. Yeah. Well, we're running out a little bit of time to talk about the other thing. Real quick, I just wanted to talk about, like, there is one more show that hasn't even happened yet. I just want to go, EA Play, what the fuck? Why are you in July? What the fuck why are you all the way over there? What are you doing?
Why are you running? Yeah, no, you're right. Why are they? I have no idea. I'm sure they have a good answer.
And then also, like, what the fuck's gonna... Because The Sims and the Battlefield already had their own bullshit already announced. So what the fuck's gonna be... I swear to God, if I tune in, like, clowning around on Dragon Age 4, hoping to see something in this fucking sports game for an hour, I'm gonna lose my shit.
I mean, it might be esports. Did you see, who was it, Activision? Or who was it that did the, 30 minutes on esports or whatever?
Oh, yeah, it was something like that I just was like, oh my God, kill me. No offense to esports people. It's just, I can't even, I don't fuck around with real sports. You think I'm going to fuck around with real sports? You fucking kidding me? Like, no, we're not doing that. But, yeah, just what, why? Why does EA all have to be all special? Is it just like, so they get all the hype? Because they're like, we're the only ones in July. You gotta take us seriously now.
I think this is what companies are trying to do, is to sort of like, we want to strike out on our own to have all the attention on ourselves. I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, EA. Look, EA, the only reason we got a relationship, EA, is because you got Dragon Age and BioWare. Like, I can't be fucked with any of your other titles, no offense. Like, you could get me with Sims. I just know if I got into Sims, it'd go too deep. But it's too far too deep. I couldn't do it. But, like, Battlefield, any of the sports games, even the Star Wars stuff. I understand people like the Star Wars stuff, just not my cup of tea. But, like, I don't think they got, like, we get to have our own show in July type of lineup. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, I think EA has one of the most well-rounded lineups of all the publishers, honestly. They really do. But nobody likes EA. Like, do these people have any self-awareness? Like, people fucking hate you guys. Like, people are going to show up. Like, here's what's going to happen because they're doing their own thing. Does anybody at that company, with all due respect to the fine and very smart folks who work at EA, do they really think that when their hashtags start trending, it's going to be mostly positive? Like, it's EA. Like, people are going to watch it to throw salt. Like, that's why they're going to watch it. I'm going to watch it to throw salt. And it's like, because that's more fun. And it's just like, I think it's preposterous that companies are starting to think that they can do everything on their own. I understand Sony and Microsoft are huge, and who knows? Sony is reportedly going to do a showcase in like 2 weeks. That's what everybody keeps saying. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're going to knock it out of the ballpark and show an hour of Horizon, whatever Gone West or something. And it's going to be fantastic. I don't know. But I think generally for most publishers and most companies, the buzz, especially the positive buzz, comes from all of it being there together. Because if Microsoft shows 2 awesome things, it's not actually... See, this is the thing. Like, it's not... It is a competitive relationship, but it's not. If you're EA and you go after Ubisoft and Ubisoft blew it up, like they really showed like 3 things, people want to see more good shit. Like, they're actually a little bit biased now to want to go, oh, that looks good again.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting there trying to shit on it. So, like, I think all of these publishers are making miscalculations there.
It would be interesting to see, like, if they all go on their own and we have, like, a divorce in the E3 lineup or whatever. And, like, I'm in July, I'm in November. Fuck you guys, let's pick in January. Like, if they end up doing worse because people keep forgetting, like, oh, when was the show? Oh, it was last week? Oh, fuck. Rather than, like, it's 1 week of, like, okay, everything is this week. I know I just have to remember this week, and then I don't have to remember anymore. You know? Like, I didn't know Sony was even having a conference next week or 2 weeks, whatever you said. I didn't even know that. So...
I wonder, you know what's really interesting? I wonder which game is going to be the first game to have a convention all for itself. Just to launch. Like Starfield just says, we're going to do 3 days of fucking shows about Starfield. Fuck everybody.
Has that not happened already?
I mean, maybe, well, no, right? Not in that format. Not in a showcase E3 format where they do like 6 different showcases focusing on different parts of the game. I don't think anyone's done that.
Huh. Yeah.
I don't know if Starfield's the right example, but like maybe some game somewhere will do that. I think that's probably maybe where it's headed if it keeps going in this direction, which I also don't think is going to be great.
I could see something like that coming for like a really lucrative game, like League of Legends 6 or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. I know we got to talk about Gary, but one thing I did want to gauge on first. EA Play is coming up. It's coming up in like a month-ish. Would you like to make any predictions about what we're going to see?
I've given up on predictions because everything I say is just wrong, and I hate being wrong. So.
But I love predictions. You want to know why they're great? Caitie, let me tell you the truth. Nobody fucking remembers when you're wrong. They only remember when you get it right. I know this for a fact. They never remember when you're wrong. You can predict anything you want. As long as you're right, that's the only ones people remember.
I guess that's how all the I was going to dunk on psychics. There it is. That's how psychics work.
Oh, you were going to dunk on psychics. I was going to work on literally all of the political pollsters ever. Like they fucking know who's going to be the president. What do you got?
Watch 2016, huh?
I mean, we can't get any more wrong than that, right? So what are your predictions for EA Play?
I bet... I don't even know. Okay, honestly, 90% of it is going to be some sort of sports thing. And then, do we know who's hosting it all? Or no, we don't know anything. Actually,
I don't remember now, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think. Okay, I'm going to say mostly sports and then maybe a Star Wars. That's probably it.
Okay, I agree with you that there's going to be a huge sports presence because they have to. That's just a big part of what they do. FIFA, Madden, big time. Star Wars thing, yes. I'll put a finer point on it and say they're going to announce the sequel to Fallen Order.
Really?
Because I think that was a big thing for them. I think it's either been rumored or maybe even officially confirmed that that's they're going to do a sequel to that game for sure. So I think we're going to get a sequel for that. Probably just like a teaser trailer, just kind of like a title reveal, maybe something along those lines. I think there's going to be something of a remaster. I don't know what it is. Maybe Dead Space, maybe something like that. Because EA has said that is part of their strategy.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
And they've already released now Legendary Edition for Mass Effect, so they got to ramp up with what the next thing is because these are going well for them. So that some sort of remaster. And then I'm going to say we are going to see Dragon Age. We're going to see the Dragon Age form of a trailer. I think we're going to see more than what we've seen in anything previously. Not saying gameplay, but definitely like a proper trailer this time. And I think we're getting a release date.
Ooh.
A release window. I'm sorry. Not a date, but we're going to get a release window.
2030, here it comes, kids.
Are you ready to hear my prediction for what I think the release date's going to be?
Oh, do I? I don't know.
Yeah. So I think I've alluded to this before, and by the way, I've had millions of Dragon Age 4 release date windows predictions, and they've pretty much all been wrong. I'm saying that they're coming out with the game at the end of 2022, whether it's ready or not.
Ready or not's an interesting choice of phrase there, Jordan.
That's the only reason why I'm making the prediction anymore. I made a tweet at the beginning of the year about the longest gaps in time between BioWare releases.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to pull up the tweet, but people can go back and look at it. If BioWare doesn't release a game this November, something rather, that's going to be.
And they're not.
Yeah, and they're not, obviously. And I'm not counting. I'm not counting Legendary Edition because it's a remaster. Original titles. Once we get into November, it's going to be the longest gap ever between BioWare releases. And the second and third, the current longest gaps are between Jade Empire and Mass Effect, and Mass Effect 3 and Inquisition. Both of those are changes.
You should count Melee though, because even though it is a remaster, it's still money. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Okay, so you're right. That is, as far as it still goes on the books, it's still part of the portfolio, and I think that's probably a huge part of the reason why they did it. That's a good point. From EA's standpoint about the accounting, it absolutely counts, obviously.
Yes.
But all of their other gaps in releases that have ever been this long have been because of a new engine. Mass Effect was the first time they ever used Unreal, and then Inquisition was the first time they ever used Frostbite. Yeah. They've never had a delay this long, and we know that the development for for Dragon Age 4 got restarted in November of 2017.
Yeah.
BioWare's never had longer than a 5-year release development cycle ever for anything. Mm-hmm. Even starting from scratch, even starting a whole new IP, they never took more than 5 years. Yeah. So we know that EA has said at times, right, like Andromeda was not ready, and they said in the 18 months you're going to goddamn get it ready because you don't get to develop video games forever. Yeah. We know that they had Dragon Age 2 turn around in 18 months. Didn't matter if the dungeons were reused and all, just get it out the door.
So you think EA is going to get impatient and throw them into the lake when they're not learning how to swim fast enough?
Well, I mean, I don't even know if I would characterize it. Yes, generally speaking, but I wouldn't even characterize it that way because we also know that development for Dragon Age 4 actually started in 2015. And they already got a pass. They already got we're going to make you switch focus on what this game is, so we'll wipe the slate clean on those 2 years. And as Jason Schreier put it in his reporting, it was going to be like a whole new accounting item, like a completely different title.
Yeah.
So they were allowed to be. That's why I'm saying 5 years starts from 2017 and not 2015. But by the time we get to the end of 2022, it's going to be 5 years, and I think it's coming out no matter what.
That's a fair guess.
And that no matter what, I'm not saying it worries me yet because we have not seen anything, and we don't know what the state of Dragon Age 4 is right now internally. Maybe it's fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And everyone there is really excited about it, and they're just waiting to show it to us. So maybe everything's fine, but if it's not fine, then the next 18 months are probably going to be really rough at BioWare.
Yeah. I mean, at least from everything we've heard, people are excited. But, who knows if that's marketing speak or what.
You know who's going to find out about this very quickly? Is the new general manager of BioWare. He's not going to find out about it. He already knows because he's been doing the job.
Yeah, okay, so if you haven't heard, BioWare has a new general manager, Gary McKay, who replaced Casey Hudson. I'm so glad I didn't say Anthony again. At least I don't have to do that anymore. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, but it's kind of one of those weird, he's actually been the interim general manager since Casey left. So, technically nothing really changed except it did. So I don't know how business works. I don't know if now that he's the official, he has more power, and if the interim he wasn't given abilities, or he did have all the abilities of general manager, and now that it's just like confirmed of like, okay, we'll keep you. Like it was kind of like an interview time or something. I don't know, but
I think he's probably been doing the job like full scale.
Okay, so I mean, I don't even know what to say about it, like, because I don't really know the guy. You had something to say on it though, so what's your take?
Well, I mean, look, first of all, congratulations to Mr. McKay, and hopefully he's going to do a great job.
Yes.
And by all accounts, he should do a great job. He brings a lot of experience, and I hope that he does very well. This is a side note. It's not specifically about Gary McKay, it's I'm thinking of it because of this, but this is something that annoys me all the time. If you look at like the responses that people do on Twitter to seeing like the news of this come out, some people, not everybody, some people are really shitty. Like they're really awful. Like it's just I
mean, that's just Twitter though.
I mean, it is, but it's also just like when you get essentially a promotion, which is what this guy has gotten, like, people are supposed to be congratulatory, not be like, oh, well, you better do, what about Andromeda? And like, I'm really just like at this stage, I'm like, do video game companies need to announce this anymore to the public? I mean, it's hypocritical, right? Like I'm on a podcast talking about it, so whatever, we're treating it as content in order to keep the listeners updated on what's going on. Mm-hmm. But like, do we really need to know who the general manager is of BioWare? Like, honestly, like, is it really going to make a difference if people know or don't know?
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I am the stupid baby who doesn't know anything about businesses and gaming companies. Like, at least when you say like, oh, a new writer, like, okay, your writing is going to, like, there's like a direct connection there. I'm like, okay, your writing is going to be in the game. I can see that. I don't fucking know what this guy does every day. For all I know, he's just sitting at his desk, like, picking his nose. No, if I know you don't do that, but like, I don't fucking know what he does. I have no opinion. I don't know how to have an opinion about this. Like, I'm sure he has a very important position that really affects it. Or maybe he doesn't. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure half the people there, because I think he worked on FIFA and some like mobile games before this. Like, does that even affect what he does here? I don't fucking know. Like, here, like with these types of things, is he just the guy who does the business, and does he even touch anything on the gaming side? Like, I don't fucking know. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he doesn't touch anything as far as like the creative process of the game. I think what he's doing is video games are essential, and I say this as somebody who's never fucking made a video game. From the way it's described by video game developers, it does just seem like a really long, really complex project. Like in the way that in other industries, it's like projects last for like, I don't know, months or a couple of years, not 5 fucking years. Like that's a really, you know what I mean? Like that's a long tail project with a lot of moving pieces. And so if you're going to do that, you need people with management experience who understand how to manage 150, 200, 500, you know what I mean? Like Rockstar had like 1,000 people make Red Dead Redemption 2. Mm-hmm. That's insane across the world, across multiple different studios. So at that level of complexity, you need people who understand like structure and organization really, really well. Mm-hmm. The thing that I think is interesting about Gary McKay, not that I'm at all qualified to determine anything about his qualifications necessarily, but just like armchair quarterbacking, because it is a podcast after all.
That's what we do here.
What else do we do here except that? It seems so like his prior role was senior director of development operations. And stuff like development operations, unfortunately, in different companies, it can mean totally different things. So who knows? But what I think of when I hear of like dev ops is like creating systems, creating like sort of standardization across processes and things like that. Mm-hmm. Things that BioWare reportedly has needed in the past. Mm-hmm. Right? If you hear about the way the things that happened on Andromeda, the things that happened on Anthem, even to an extent things that were happening in Inquisition, it seems like they've needed some consistency in process, and I don't know, maybe he has a track record of helping with that. He actually started recently with BioWare in that role. He hasn't actually been, I know he has a lot of experience in the video game industry, and at one point he was at EA, but I think there's been some confusion about that. He was not at EA recently. Mm-hmm. He was at EA like in the 90s and early 2000s.
Ah. Okay.
And then he was a founder, I think, on some smaller studios and things like that. And he's recently returned to EA in doing like in a senior role with development operations. And so I think he is what you might call an ops guy. Again, I don't know if I'm comparing apples to oranges because I don't work in the video game industry, but like an ops guy who's really there, not because, I mean, I don't know, maybe the guy loves to play games personally, but not necessarily because he's a powerhouse creative force on games, like say the way Casey Hudson. Casey Hudson's track record was creative director and writer and sort of more on the creative side. I think Gary McKay is maybe maybe he's the right answer because he is more on the operation side and he's not someone who's been there for 20 years, and maybe that means he might face challenges because some people in the studio are, they're used to the people they've been working with for a long time, but maybe that's what BioWare needs. Maybe they need an outside, an external to come in and take over and sort of put that emphasis more on structure and operations. And maybe that will not directly affect the creative process, but indirectly sort of put things in order so that the creative talent at BioWare can do what they do with less pressure. That's my only take on it. I mean, that could be complete bullshit. And again, I'm just, looking at his LinkedIn page and trying to read too much into it, but for what it's worth.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good explanation. Or, I mean, like, from our knowledge, who knows what actually is going on?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, I honestly have nothing to add because, like, other than it happening, like, I don't know. Like, people are asking my opinions. I'm like, I don't.
I hope he does a great job. I mean, I wish him luck.
I hope it will. Yeah, that's all I really can say. Like, I want him to do well. I want the company to do well and produce more products I like. That's.
On a side note, I really want to know what Casey Hudson's up to.
Yeah, maybe he's just chilling out, like having a good time. Maybe he's on the beach. Well, COVID. Maybe he's on sitting in his study room with a picture of a beach and sipping Mai Tais for all we know.
Katie, COVID's over. Didn't you hear?
Oh,
no, we're not even going to go there. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you fucking see? There was like Ariana Grande and James Core, whatever his name is, and had like COVID's over. Like, okay, celebrities. So I'm glad that's.
Wait, Ariana Grande said that COVID's over?
Well, they had like it was like a parody of some stupid musical. I hate musicals. I'm sorry. It was like Hairspray or something, I saw the movie. It was horrible. Anyway, a Hairspray thing where it was like the end of lockdowns or whatever, and they were like celebrating the end of lockdowns and how COVID was over, and it's just like.
Maybe she'll get another ugly tattoo to celebrate.
Lick some donuts.
Seriously. Lick some donuts and blaspheme America. She has so many ugly tattoos, honestly, and she keeps getting them. It's awful.
Now I gotta look up Ariana.
What was I gonna say? No, Casey Hudson. I think almost right away on his Twitter bio he put currently working on something new, ...
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know what it is, because like, is he going to go found a studio? Is he going to be in that senior role? Or does he want to go back to like creative director where he's writing and coming up with more creative stuff? If he ends up at Archetype Entertainment, I will lose my shit. Because that would be phenomenal if he rejoins Drew Karpyshyn and James Olin and everybody. That would be phenomenal if that happens. Oh, fun fact.
What?
Oh, just real quick, Alexander Freed. Some people know who that is, or they don't. He's a Star Wars novelist, and he wrote like some of the best parts of Star Wars: The Old Republic. He's also writing at Archetype Entertainment.
Oh.
So they're getting a good roster of former BioWare people.
Yeah, I'm looking up all of Ariana Grande's tattoos. It's just like dumb tattoos. Like she has Chihiro tattooed on her. Wait, what?
She's got weird random crap, right?
Yeah,
I feel like they're all
it's
impulse.
not even like a good Chihiro tattoo. It's kind of like awkward looking.
Yeah. It's like they're all impulse.
Wow. Eevee?
That makes no sense, right?
Yeah, the Eevee's all right. Some of these are just... Are these real? Like, is this like... I don't... Okay, sorry. I'm just... Why am I... Apparently, like, here's just an insider thing about, like, here's Ariana Grande's 55 tattoos. Who the fuck? Anyway. Yeah, the real news is that I've just had this tab open, and there was never a good time to say it. Valley Girl had a remake in 2020, Jordan.
I don't want to watch it.
You don't want to know the star-studded cast of people I've never heard of?
The fact that I didn't hear about it means it's definitely not who on earth did I? Now I'm looking it up too. Who did they get?
I haven't heard of anyone on this cast. Jessica Roth, Josh Whitehouse, literally nobody. Oh, I'm sorry. Logan Paul's in this?
Oh no.
Like the Logan Paul or just,
the other one. This is...
I was kind of hoping it would just be the other one.
This is absolutely horrendous. They should not have done this.
Okay, well that's man, I wish Logan Paul played like the lead character.
Oh wait, is it a musical? Is it an actual musical? Because the first one's not a musical.
Wait, is it a musical?
It's
a musical adaptation of the 1983 film. Yeah, it's a musical.
Set to a new wave 80s soundtrack, a pair of young lovers from different backgrounds defy their parents and friends to stay together.
Oh my god, does Logan Paul sing in this? I need to... Sorry, in the IMDb, the frequently asked questions, one question, like the only question is just, may Christ bless you. Wait, what?
Wait, what are you looking at?
And when you scroll down on IMDb for Valley Girl 2020, it's frequently asked questions. May Christ bless you. That's it.
Oh, good God. I don't know what compelled these people to do this, but they shouldn't have. Anyway, folks, sorry this episode took so long.
Yeah, we meant to get this out a lot sooner than it actually is. So, like, we're really topical here. We're probably the last publication. Are we a publication? No, we're not. The person to talk about E3. Yeah, so I guess come back in a month to hear our ramblings on EA Play and to either lose our fucking minds over something Dragon Age or just listening to me complaining about sports games for an hour.
Yeah, something like that.
One of the two. Yeah. Well, I guess with that, what do you? Where do people find you?
What's going on here? The Exalted March on YouTube at The Exalted March.
and hey, real quick, you've actually been putting out a lot of content. New content. Look at you. I'm so proud.
I've made videos. It's amazing.
You've made videos. It's been like a year and you've had like, is it 5 or like you've had a lot. I lost count.
I've had a bunch. I've had several and it's been really good. Yeah. People have been very supportive and kind and watched them. So it's nice. Yeah.
So you all should actually go back to his channel and go watch his content and support. And then you can find me on Ghildirthalen, which I have not made a video in 2 weeks because I've been busy. So look at me. We're switching places.
Oh no.
Oh, Lord. And with that, everybody, Dareshra.